My silences had not protected me. Your silence will not protect you. Audre Lorde. Bending Not Breaking. Pride and the Dragon Prince. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bending Not Breaking. I am your host, Ben Pruitt, and how cool was it to hear Jesse Inukalia talk about his favorite Pride moment? I just feel so lucky to be able to have conversations like that, and like the one that you are going to hear today. As we mentioned last episode, it is Pride Month, and we are celebrating full force by bringing you a lot of Pride content. So over the next couple of weeks, we will be releasing several episodes with voice actors, writers, friends of the podcast, in which we have discussed our favorite Pride scenes, our favorite ships, our favorite moments, our favorite headcanon, all in celebration of Pride Month. These episodes don't follow the usual routine to our normal show, but I am certain that you will enjoy them. There are some other things accessible to patrons, I will say, like videos of our conversations that we'll be offering, so I hope you'll consider supporting us on Patreon or by giving the podcast a glowing review wherever you listen to your podcast. All of those things would make a huge difference for us. So remember, you can find us at VNB_pod on all of the social medias and on Patreon. But without further ado, let's head to our next conversation discussing Pride and the Dragon Prince. And we have another guest for you all today, and I am so excited because we are talking about the Dragon Prince with our guest, Rena Anakwe. And we are really excited because Rena is the voice of Janai on the Dragon Prince, and I am thrilled to welcome Rena. Rena, how are you today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm sure the pleasure of all of our listeners as well. This is a real treat to be able to talk to you. Thank you so much for agreeing to join us.
Yes, thank you for the invite.
Yeah, so here's the deal. I would love to just know a little bit more about you. Can you, we know that you're the voice of Janai, but what do you do with your life? What do you love to do? How do you spend your time aside from that small portion of your life that you spend recording for the Dragon Prince?
I am an interdisciplinary artist, performer, and healer as well. I do many things, but I think that's a great way to summarize in a way. And I also write as well, poetry specifically. And I work with sound, visuals, and scent in my work. Most of my work revolves around creating healing and spiritual experiences for folks to step within in, I guess you could say, an immersive way, but more so thinking about holistic ways in order to meet people where they're at in non-traditional spaces for performance and also for healing. And my goal always is to give people tools that they can walk away with in whatever capacity that is. Sometimes that's through plant medicine, sometimes that's through sound healing, sometimes that's just through having an allotted time and moment for that experience. And yeah, sometimes I work in tandem with all of these things with the sound, visuals, and scent, and sometimes they're singularly, or sometimes just two of them. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. It's specifically through, I guess, the lens of performance art, sound art, video art. And I also DJ as well. And yeah, I just recently finished my first book of poetry, which I'm really excited about. And then I have to figure out what to do with it. But I just got back from the McDowell Fellowship, which is really amazing in Peterborough, New Hampshire. And yeah, that was just a month in the woods in a studio with just really amazing people, and just everybody was really kind. And I just got back last Wednesday, so I'm kind of adjusting or readjusting to city life and being by myself again because you're around a lot of people, which is a big change because I think a lot of us have been in isolation and solitude and loneliness due to the ongoing pandemic and other circumstances and whatnot because of that pandemic. But yeah, it was a big adjustment because all of a sudden you're around a lot of people and I'm like, oh snap. And then and then you're seeing these people. But it's funny too because the arrivals and departures are staggered, so you start to get to know people and they're like, yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow, and I'm like, wait, what?
Wow.
So it was very it's bittersweet in a way, you get to know people so
Yeah.
intensely and then you're like, oh my gosh, you're leaving next week, like, this is very sad. But it was
Wow.
a beautiful, life-changing experience, so I'm very grateful for that time and the opportunity to do that. And yeah, deepen my practice, like focus on detangling self in a way because you're by yourself for a good amount of time as well in your own studio. So yeah, I had time to read, which is nice. I had a stare downs with deer. It was very weird. I had a lot of, yeah, I was just looking out the window because you're like, wow, when am I ever going to see this much green? I'm in Brooklyn and I see green in a different way. It's like, oh, I'm seeing green in someone else's house. You're
Mhm.
not seeing anything out there. You see a mountain or wild turkeys and chipmunks and lots of different birds, which is really cool. I became
Yeah.
really into birds. I learned how to ride a bike, which was really
Oh, that's so
exciting. I
cool.
know, as I'm one of those people who didn't learn when they were younger, but I was like, you know what, let's do it. Like I've learned twice, but it was as I was older, and if you don't practice, it's kind of like the muscle memory thing only relates if you got off of training wheels, which apparently I'm supposed to lead with that. But I
Yeah.
didn't actually ever take the training wheels off, so it was a big thing. But then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm riding my bike, and I think the problem too is like I would then try to load up the bike like a car, and that's not safe because then you're unbalanced, and I'm already
Yeah.
not good at the balance. And so I was like, some days were a little precarious, I will say.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a really, yeah, I'm just really happy. I'm like, I learned how to ride a bike. If anything else, if I didn't do anything else there, I learned how to ride a bike on gravel, which is crazy. So yeah.
Wow. You have an incredible story. I'm just kind of sitting here taking it all in, thinking about where what I know you as, which is such a very, very, very small part of your life, it sounds like. And then hearing all these wonderful things about you and the things you're interested in, the things that drive you are what an amazing story. I'm just grateful that you're willing to share that with all of us.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you giving me the space to. So yeah, I know
Yeah.
you don't get to really, people are like, oh, you just do this thing. I mean, I think a lot of voice actors, they have many other things that they do, but I think it's interesting. I definitely have lived a full of twists and turns of life, I would say, done many things like, which I'm like, you know what, we have this one life in this human form, I think, right, or
Yeah.
the present,
Yeah.
right, it depends on what your belief system is, but in this present human form that I'm in, yeah, why not try to experience as much as I can and interact with as many people as I can, and yeah, caring in thoughtful ways, right? So
Yeah. I'm just so part of me is jealous, I think, at the capacity you have to interweave these different things that you really clearly care about. So I'm thinking about the performance art. I did performance art. I was a musician.
oh, nice.
I am a musician, but I have turned that has become more of a hobby for me than what I was planning to intending to do. And just thinking about how being able to turn not just the musical portion of your life, but this just thinking about it as the frame of sound versus music completely shifts the narrative a little bit. And then as you weave scent and spirituality and all of these different, it sounds amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Definitely, it hasn't been a straightforward thing, or I say, it's a journey, it's a process. So there's
Yeah.
always time, The same thing. I mean, I was told when I was younger, oh, that acting is a hobby. So then I think in a way I kind of took that on a bit because that was what was being told to me. But then I always was like, well, fine, I can get this degree and then I can still do this. But as long, like for my parents, it was like, okay, fine, you get that first degree, then you can do whatever you want. So I was like, okay, cool. So then I got my first master's at the Actors Studio because I was like, well, I want to take it seriously and learn, because I went to business school for undergrad.
Ooh.
I know, very serious.
Yeah, indeed.
So, yeah, but then that fulfilled the thing that my parents like, you have to be able to pay for yourself, and I'm like, okay, fine, I can buy things or whatever.
Yeah.
I can eat food and pay for it. So
electricity,
pay bills, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So it was like practical things. So, that which I understand, but then I got my master's at the Actors Studio, and then I wanted to create things and was feeling very limited in terms of the way that storytelling was happening, or I was experiencing storytelling, and I didn't understand why we work on things in a sensorial manner to prepare characters, and then the audience doesn't also get to experience that. So then I started looking at programs and was like, oh, I want to go to this thing, but they didn't seem to fit with what I wanted to do. And even one program, I spoke to them and they're like, we don't have anybody that can help you. I was like, what? What, you don't think someone's going to tell you? I was like, I appreciate your honesty. They're like, there's no person on staff that can help you, but that it's what you want to do seems great. I was like, okay, thank you. So then I found this program at NYU ITP and was like, okay, well, I want to figure out these ways to storytell in a really sensorially based way. And had gone through some trauma of my own that I needed to process, but processing that during thesis is really not the time. And so then I ended up making my thesis as like this, almost like a simulation for me to relax, because I was so stressed out. I was like, I'm really not dealing well with what just happened, but I can't handle this. So let me make relaxation based things. And so that's how it started. My artistic practice just started from my thesis because I was so stressed. So,
wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's it's funny. It's like, sometimes that's what happens, right? Something happens to us horribly, and then we find a way to work through it and find some beauty in it, which is always nice. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and that's okay too. But it's always nice when you can find something out of it, out of all the chaos and sadness, that you can pull out of it and create something that can help others or even help yourself,
Yeah, that's what makes it sacred in a way.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna narrow our focus in a little bit more to the Dragon Prince now.
Yes.
Thinking about you've had this wonderful wide scope with the way you live and have engaged your work. Now I'm curious, where does the Dragon Prince and voice acting fit into that briefly, and then we'll kind of get into the meat of the episode.
For sure. I mean, voice acting is for me, is such a freeing space, because I think that it's kind of that middle point, or like a hybrid of theater and then film and television in a way, but then also you can transform into whatever you want to be, or whatever you're voicing. You can transform into these various characters and lives. And so yeah, because I have a background in acting, I would say, like, formally. I mean, I've been acting since I was younger, but nothing was formal. And so for me, voice acting, when I first moved to Vancouver, because I lived in Vancouver, which is how I was on the show, or I'm on the show. And so, yeah, that was like the first thing. Was like my first agent was actually my first roommate in Brooklyn, and she's from Vancouver. She's actually from Victoria. And so she became my first voiceover agent. And I had a horrible agent in California who was like submitting me to be a mascot. Like when I looked at the breakdowns, I was like, can you please send me the breakdowns? Like, why am I not going out in LA? And I was like, did she submit me to be like an onion? It was like, it's not an onion. It was something absurd where I was like, I did not go to school for this. So this is crazy. And so I was like, well, we gotta go, because she started giving me problems when I was like, I want to be out of this contract. She's like, no. So I was like, well, I'm moving to Canada.
Yeah.
So I'm Canadian as well as Nigerian and American. And so my friend was like, you could just come up to Vancouver, like, why not? And then you could get experience here and it'd be good for you, I think. And I was like, okay, cool.
That's
so
awesome.
I drove up there. And so but the Dragon Prince didn't happen until like much later. Right. Because that was oh my gosh. Am I gonna age myself? Who cares? That was 2010 when the Olympics happened, is when I moved to Vancouver. I know, crazy. That was also a weird time to move to any city during the Olympics. Oh, I don't recommend. 10 out of 10, no. But yeah, the Dragon Prince came. I remember when I saw the breakdown, I was like, please, universe, dear God, please, can I get on the show? Because the breakdowns were so good. Like it's very rare that you get a lot of different material.
When you say breakdown, what do you mean? I'm not familiar with that.
Yes. So basically you're sent for anything that you do in acting, whether voice, theater, film and TV, you're sent a breakdown, which is the characters, like, a brief description of the character, who you're playing, little things about them that are important, and then you're sent a script. And I remember getting the information about the Dragon Prince, and I was like, whoa, this seems really amazing and cool. And this world is going to be so cool. And they're like, oh, the creators like that are involved in Avatar. And I'm going to be honest with you, at that time, I hadn't watched Avatar, which is crazy. Ooh. I know, right? But then I also, because we had nothing but time while we were in the house, I, of course, binged the whole entire Avatar and was like, this is so good. Yeah. After, right? I was like, I understand. But this was after that, which is ironic that I was still that excited, because the descriptions and everything, and even the little scripts that we get to record, I was like, oh, please. And just the fact that I was like, yo, this is so cool. Like, this is a Black character in this fantasy world. A lot of times, like even in speculative fiction, like that's the only places, like specifically with Afrofuturism, that's the only places where you're seeing Black people exist, which doesn't make sense, because Black people, anybody can be in sci-fi. And it's so irritating that it constantly is still created in this way where you're seeing a lack of diversity in terms of the existence. I mean, we're in a place where someone can have blue skin, like what in the world? Right. So someone can have 5 heads. So like the existence of different races and ethnicities that like being translated into a futuristic realm only makes sense. I definitely was like, oh, this is amazing, this like fantasy world. But then there's also this, it's like, we're this kingdom type of juxtaposition of these things too within this. And in the time of dragons, like there's all this, like this mysticism, whatnot. So I was like, oh, I hope to goodness. And, and I'm an elf. And like, who's a warrior? I was like, come on, please let me on this show. I swear, just let me in. And so I was so happy when I got out. I was like, yes, like, because that was it's very rare that I'll read something. Of course, you see everything, like I want it, but this one I was like, please, I really want this one. Yeah. So when that happened, I was like, oh, and I had to fly to Vancouver because we can all tell I live in New York. I've moved back. Yeah. But my agent was like, if you get it, just get in there and get it, then we'll figure it out. And I was like, all right. So I was flying back. Wow. Yeah. The thing that has happened because of this panorama that we're still in is I will say one of the positives is the ability to now record from anywhere, because we're all in different places, even the writers and whatnot, and the studios. So I think that the access, accessibility and flexibility with that, I would say is definitely an improvement, so that we could all still be in this like realm together, which I appreciate that part.
So much. There's just so much. We could talk for hours. I'm gonna narrow our focus now.
It's all good. Direct us, please.
The purpose of this episode in particular is that it is Pride Month. Yeah. And we are talking about Pride. And I'm just curious, when I pitched this episode to you, you said that sounds awesome and
Oh, yeah,
cool
that's
and
great.
great. And so I'm curious, what is your relationship with Pride? And yeah, can you just tell us a little bit about what that means to you?
Yeah, I mean, happy Pride to everybody. I mean, I'm queer. So boom. So this is always a fun month for me, for everybody in that sense. I mean, it's interesting because I think I also feel two ways about Pride in a way because of the commercialization of it, which I think is
Absolutely.
really irritating because of the capitalist hands that are constantly grabbing. Like, I remember, this is such a small thing. I haven't been on social media in over a month, and I went back on the yesterday. Oh my gosh, it's only yesterday. That's how scary it is, the way time passes on social media for
Yeah.
me. But I'm like, I do not belong on here. But yeah, I'm only going on weekends because they still need restrictions. And I went to tag a center that I thought was this gay and lesbian specific, yeah, it's like an LGBTQIA plus center in Manhattan. And I thought, because it's in the Kaplan building, but it's the gay center. And so, like, but I tagged Kaplan, the language people, because they had the whole flag on their thing. And so I'm
Oh
like, because you
no.
only have this for June, when June is over, you're gonna throw back on your logo and da 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 da. So it's like that type of thing where, yeah, we put on this skin for now
It's
for
opportunist.
June. Exactly. And I'm like, you know what? Great. Give everybody the coins. I mean, the same thing happens during Black History Month.
Yep.
All of a sudden, and you never get enough notice, which I'm like, I think it would be great if people just considered you earlier. Like, I have no problem with that. I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. You want to speak to people in these specific communities, no problem. But it always feels crazy when it's like people scrambling.
Yeah.
And you can feel it. But yeah, I think that we have to, as a collective, look beyond those things, because everything is made into a capitalistic endeavor in a way, because that's how money is made. So we have to
Yeah.
remember the roots of things and why and why it's happening. And so that's the thing that I do like. And I do like people feeling like, seen in places where they can gather and come together and celebrate each other. I think that's always a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, happy Pride to everybody.
Happy Pride to
And
everyone.
everybody can come, everybody is included, like, you know what I mean? But it definitely is a moment for empowerment in that way, and to
Absolutely.
recognize people and to uplift people in those moments. So I think it's a beautiful thing.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing. What I have been asking everybody to do has been to pick a moment or a scene or a ship, if you will, that
Yeah.
they are most excited about or their favorite in either the Avatarverse or the Dragon Prince. And so I gave that kind of prompt to you, and I'm really curious what came up. What is that moment? What is that scene? What is that thought process for you?
I mean, I think there's two, but I'm like, is it, I feel like, is it like a cop out if I'm like, well, I like my characters,
I think you're probably the one most qualified to
percolation,
talk about
the
it.
Janaya. I mean, I'm here for Janaya,
Mhm.
I'm here for it. I'm here for Janaya, and Amaya's like, we don't know what's gonna happen, but something's percolating. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm that's all I'm privy to say right now. I'm not will to share more, but I will say that um, things are going to happen, right?
Things
Things are good.
you heard
Things
it.
are happening.
You heard it here, folks. Things are gonna happen.
Things are going to happen. Things are happening. Is that okay? Can I say that? I'm just so excited for the upcoming seasons. Like, it is so difficult to keep things to yourself. I can't talk to anybody. You understand this? I cannot talk. Jesse is the only person that I am able to Sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, dude, do you believe this? Like, that's the only person that I actually can talk to at times about these things. And we're always freaking out about, like, I love Jesse because Jesse sends me fan art and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And is just on top of it. And I really appreciate him so much. And I'm just like, like, this is so hard. This is really hard. But I'm so excited for what is coming, like, for everybody. And that's all I could say. But I
love
also
it.
really like the Kingdom of Durin. I also really like that the two queens, which was, Anya's mothers. I also wanted to bring that up because I was like, oh, that's a beautiful display of this couple, this lesbian couple with this power who left like this kingdom to this amazing daughter as well. And just seeing that, and just like their regality, and I just liked that pairing. I thought that was very sweet as well.
I loved how intentional that felt, right? To have not just a queer couple, but a female, like women in power, right? And of an entire kingdom. And it's frustrating it's called a kingdom still, right? But it's like,
I know that part too,
right? But it's one of those things where even our language kind of boxes us in a way that it's insufficient. And I just love that we have things that are pushing those things, and like the Dragon Prince that is giving us other options. And I love that the two things that you're pointing to are showing us that also with Janai and Amaya, like two very high ranking women, again, in the military for their countries, is just, it's lovely. It's beautiful. And it gives us hope for what can be.
Definitely. I also think that it's really important to show love stories between different types of, like, I guess, like archetypes of people, or even break stereotypes, because there's also these things of like femininity and masculinity and whatnot. And it's really important to see love being shared between different types of people, in terms of like even showing femmes in different ways, showing masculine presenting folks in different ways, like the fact that there's representation of non-binary characters, of people with disabilities. Like, I think it's really important just to show everybody. I never understand when people get upset when like something is presented to them that is not necessarily about them. Meanwhile, anybody who is not, say, the stereotypical type has always been seeing people presented that are not like them, and haven't been complaining. Like, I don't understand what's showing the totality of what we are as a populace, or like as people. Why that's an issue. I'm like, I think that everybody should see themselves at a point. Like, it's not only some people should see themselves. So I love that the fact that the show does go there and do that. And it's like, you should see yourself. Like, if me as a child, like if I saw somebody who was queer on television that looked like me, that might have made such a big difference for me discovering my queerness. And like, even like, I didn't know about pansexuality and things like this until like much later, you know what I mean? And so I think that it is really important just to, and it doesn't have to be a thing of like, we're going to describe each thing. It's literally just seeing somebody be like, oh, that person has a girlfriend, I want a girlfriend too. Oh, that person has a boyfriend, I want a boyfriend too. Oh, that person has a partner, I want a partner too. Like, or not, like, it could be in any capacity, you know what I mean? I just think that it's really important. Like, you're seeing characters that are signing, like, what a big difference that is, even for like a child that also signs, or even adults that also sign. Like, even as a person who doesn't, like, I want to learn how to sign. Like, I want to be able to communicate with other people too, you know what I mean? So I think those things are important.
You're answering a question that I want to make the question explicit in case you change your answer just a little bit. But thinking about, like, when you think of seeing Janaya on screen, or when you are literally voicing Janai and acting in those scenes, I'm curious, like, how does that make you feel in your body? Like, what are the feelings that come up for you when you're able to see that on screen in the final product, or when you're producing it?
It's funny, we don't see very much until the end. But that's what I think is so cool. Anytime we do see things, I'm like, whoa. I just think this is so amazing. But to see it afterwards, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, not only is that my voice, also I have an accent, so it's a little bit different. Still always confusing to my dad. Doesn't know who's talking. It's very crazy. No matter how much English I know. Even with My Little Pony, I was like, it's me. Like, what are you not getting? I digress. But yeah, I think that when you're in it, I'm not thinking about any of these things. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm thinking as the character when I'm voicing Janai, and I'm thinking about the situations and how I'm feeling towards the other characters that I'm interacting with, right? So I pretty much, I become Janai in those moments. But in terms of seeing the impact afterwards, I think about these things just when I think about what stuff is available and like what things I grew up with. Also, sometimes I get texts or messages from friends that have kids and they're like, oh, we were watching you. And I think that is so cool. Like, like I think that to me is a really big deal. And just finding out other people watch this and they're excited to show like their nieces and stuff like this. And I think that those are the moments where I'm like, whoa, like we're really doing something impactful in that way. And I think going to Comic-Con as well for the first time in New York, that was, oh my gosh, that was last year, was really exciting. Because I was meeting people in person because I haven't met anybody else, like no one has met me. And so I think that when you see the ways that people are reacting to the work that you're doing and to the stories that are being told, I think that's when it kind of all sinks in or just comes together. And I'm like, oh, wow, we're really building these worlds that people identify with and are feeling seen by. And I think that's really an amazing opportunity and a privilege to do that. And so I'm thankful for that, for sure.
I just the whole narrative that you kind of have given us is reminding me. I recently wrote an article for our blog on the ethics of consumption for media and thinking about why it's important that we see that there's representation of people that don't look like us, and people that are not just coming from our perspective, especially for me as a cis white male, and making sure like there's an ethical responsibility we have. It's not just something we're like, you should do it because you'll be better. No, I think we have a responsibility to do more than that, because it doesn't just affect us, it affects us and so much more. So I ended up talking about Smellerbee from Avatar: The Last Airbender in that article. Super neat. We're talking about like asking the question, is Smellerbee trans?
Right.
Because she's like, no, I'm a girl, and it's really unclear because it's never
right repeatedly. Like,
and then there are so many arguments online, which is what you were pointing at. Like, why do people get angry, right? When people say Smellerbee is trans, and then other people are like, no.
I don't understand. Even I don't. I think it's very like I don't ever get when people take such a position like that where they get so angry. I'm like, are you okay? Is something else going on? Because I don't understand how that is ruining your experience. I mean, that was like a thing that happened right with the Hunger Games. I remember when that first came out, with Amandla Stenberg's, with their character. I was like, why are you coming at a small child in this way? And does it really freaking matter? I mean, the people get really upset too. They got upset with Game of Thrones because they felt like certain things. They're like, oh, why is this homoerotic and blah, 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 and all these things. And it's like, you know, maybe some of y'all weren't reading the books the same. I don't know. But then also, like, I think that if it's not taking away from the storyline, like I do understand people's dedication to canon and whatnot, but you know what, adaptations change things. You also cannot tell a lot of times races unless people are describing specific things. So I think the expectation for you to just assume that everybody is straight and white is very myopic. Like, I'm sorry,
limited.
I'm like, you know, it's probably not gonna be that way to everybody.
You're here.
And you should be okay with that. Everything is not for you. Like, that's also another thing I don't think people like to hear. Everything's not for you, and that's okay. Everything's not for me, and that's okay. And I don't have to watch it.
Okay. I am just thrilled that we've had a chance to have this conversation. It has been a joy to talk to you and learn about you and hear your perspective. We always end our episodes with gratitude. And so I want to do the same thing with you and think about, what are you grateful for from the Dragon Prince? If we focus it to that, like who is a character that you are potentially most thankful for, and then a reason why. And it can be Janai, but it can also be someone else. It's up to you. We often kind of frame it in like somebody that maybe taught you a lesson that you didn't know you needed to know until you saw it on screen, or really anything.
I would say I think I'm grateful for Janai. I'm grateful for Janai because of the journey that she is embarking upon. And I think that I'm learning a lot from it. I think I can't say anything. Things are coming, things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, essentially, I'm really grateful for the writers, and the producers of the show and everybody who's involved, really, because it's just, they've given me an opportunity to really be part of something and to grow as a person and a character that people don't always get the opportunity to be part of. And I definitely am very aware of that. And just, I'm really excited. I know people are very annoyed because they're like, where are the episodes?
Yeah,
but they're coming.
They're coming. Yeah.
Right? We saw the announcement.
Did.
Hello.
Yep.
But you know what? Honestly, I'm also grateful for who else am I grateful for? I was like, the evil people. No. I just think that it's interesting. I know I wanted to say Claudia because I'm interested to see what goes on with Claudia. Like, I don't know if that's a gratitude thing, but I think that I'm more just like interested, like, how is her character going to, like, what's going to go down with her?
I know. And
I'm very concerned.
All the interviews say it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah.
See, there's stuff that I don't know.
Yep.
Right.
There's an interview with Aaron out there somewhere that is, he says it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I feel like she has such a, like, she still had a little bit of kindness up in her, but she has that dedication.
I don't know, after that finale.
I know. It went really dark. I was like, dang. So you just this is loyalty? Is this a big
yikes?
A big yikes. I know. I'm just interested to see, like, how, like, can she come back from that?
We'll find out, I guess.
I know, right?
Things are going to happen, aren't they?
Things are going to happen. Stuff is going down. Sadly, I don't know anything about her character arc. I mean, thank God, because I shouldn't be saying anything anyway, but I am interested.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested in seeing, I'm like, I know that the characters that are fighting for good, like, that's one thing, but you never think about, like, oh, what's going to go down with these villains?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm always interested to see if there's, like, a redemption.
Yep. Our conversations on the previous seasons with Jason have been quite illuminating. Just like hearing the background on that is fascinating. So
gosh, I don't know if he's ever going to come back from his disasters. I keep feeling like the king, I'm like, is he, I deep in my heart, I'm like, maybe he's just stuck in a mirror. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
Like, you think maybe? Like, I keep wanting their dad to come back. I don't know. But in my mind, I'm like, maybe he's just like, Viren just put him in a mirror somewhere.
We'll see. Yeah.
Gotta get him out. We just gotta get him out.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really, really hard.
Well, we have a little bit of time left before we get those episodes, and we are all waited on the edge of our seat, ready for it. So likewise, I know it's nice to hear that it's not just us.
No, you are not alone. So, you know how hard this is to keep to yourself.
Yep.
It's also the nature of Netflix, right? It's like you gotta wait till the whole thing is released. Yeah. Like, I haven't seen these things. That's the funny thing, is that all of us are watching it with all of you. It's not even.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting too, right? Because like with
Yeah.
other things, it's like, oh, people have seen the movie and da 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 da, da or blah, blah blah. It's like, no, I'm going to be watching the episodes when they drop with everyone else. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Wow.
I am excited about that though. Very excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, Rena, this has been a joy. If people want, after hearing this, want to connect with you in some way, shape, or form, is there a way that you would like them to do that? Whether that's on some sort of social media or a website, how would you like them to find you?
So my website is aspaceforsound.com. And I am also under the same thing on Instagram, but I'm more active on my DJ Lady Lane account. I'm not good at social media. Okay. Let me just put that up front, a small disclaimer. I'm not good at it. I don't know if I'm really trying to improve, but I'm going to try to keep people updated with things, but definitely my website, and I have a newsletter. I'm also not good at sending out the newsletter. Are you seeing a trend? I do send out the newsletter. It's not annoying. It's not ever too much because we don't know when they're going to drop, but when they do happen, I do send them. So if you want to sign up for the newsletter there, that'd be great. Yeah, if you're in the New York area, like this summer, I'll be around. I have a residency at BAM that's coming up next month for about 2 weeks. And yeah, there's more things happening in the fall. I'm doing a project at Lincoln Center. And yeah, there's just some things that are happening. So yeah, please do join the newsletter or look at the Instagram. I'm gonna try to post.
We'll do our best, right?
I know.
We are not very good at social media either at
Okay,
Bending
and that's
Not
okay.
Breaking. But we had a volunteer for a while, and our social media was great during that. But then
Yeah.
it has since declined.
Yeah, you know, it happens.
Yeah. So you can find Rena at aspaceforsound.com or a space for sound on Instagram. And then you can also find us at Bending Not Breaking or BNB_pod.
Yes, definitely. I think DJ Lady Lane is better for Instagram, but
Perfect.
yeah, I mean, I'm on the Twitters, not, whatever y'all want, but
Awesome.
do I sound thrilled about the social media?
Yeah.
So much enthusiasm. It's killing me. It feels painful to talk about it. I mean, I'm sorry. I haven't been on. Yesterday was the first day and I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. So.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
Rena, this has been incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I am grateful, and I'm certain that our listeners will love every minute of this.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for having me.